Welcome back, everyone. Today I'll be discussing my initial first impressions of Jurassic Park: The Legacy of Isla Nublar. This game is following on from a formula that really works for me and has worked for Jurassic Park for a long time. You are designing the park and building the park, in this case as the game progresses, creating the layout as you play. This is a legacy board game. So it must be stated that this video is going to focus on my initial impressions of the game from Mission 1, the introductory mission. In this case, I believe there's 10 in the game, and you're going to play through every single one, and as you play, you're going to unlock new content and expand the game and add new stuff to it. So it's going to get more involved. There's going to be a lot more for you to do and think about as you play the games, as the content expands and new things are added to it. Risk Legacy is one of my favourites of this format, and it's a tested format that's worked pretty well. There has been a few duds, and Jurassic Park as an IP, I'm hoping it's good. I've heard a bit of a mixed reception about it, but regardless, I thought it was worthwhile that I try it because we don't always agree with what everybody else says in terms of reviews. First scenario, you start before the park is erected, essentially. You are arriving at Isla Nublar and you're scouting the island out. You're going to be essentially forming the foundations of your base. You're going to be assigning locations, and you're going to be taking on the roles of various personalities from the books, the movies, etc., including John Hammond and a number of other main characters. You will be moving around, performing actions. You will be trying to execute as many of the things you want to do during your turn. Before you run out of actions, you'll get a set amount every turn, and you'll move around, manipulate the board, and deal with various things, whether you're moving the dinosaur pieces, whether you're moving people from one location to another, or surveying locations, or just gathering items. There's a whole plethora of things that you can do, but they're actions that are pretty simple to follow. And then on top of that, there is additional buildings that you can go into, which will be sideboards, and there will be various puzzles and activities that you can interact with. And all of this is in the first scenario. So there's a lot going on, and then there's consequences if things don't go your way. There's a great deal of things to happen and unfold in this game. And from my initial play of Scenario 1, the gameplay is reasonably straightforward and accessible for most people. How convoluted or complex the game might get later in the campaign, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be streamlined and easy to follow, or maybe it's going to get harder for people. I'm not sure. I'm not going to do any spoilers really. I'm just going to stick to what you get in the first scenario. And what you need to do to win the game is listed in a comic book style document that you get, a little booklet that you get, and it takes you through it stage by stage, explains the scenario, explains the setting, and tells you what your objectives for the scenario are. And in the first scenario, they're relatively straightforward. You need to go and find your survey teams, and it just continues from there. You trigger things and then the story continues. But it's very easy to understand and follow. I'm quite impressed with the game. And I played it myself, and then I taught it to my group the next day. I have every intention of playing this game solo. I bought this personally for me to try. It's not actually designed solo, I must state that. I'm playing it that way. But it is a 2 to 4 play game, I believe. And you can have people drop in and out whenever you want as you play the campaign, which is a really cool feature. So that must be mentioned because that's quite important. Yeah, I think that gives you an idea, really. You basically, depending on what the booklet says, those are your objectives for the game. You've got to try and accomplish them. Your adversaries are going to be the dinosaurs as they move around the board. You're trying to avoid them as you accomplish your tasks, or maybe there's going to be something where you interact with them. I don't particularly know at this stage. As I said, it's only covering the first scenario. And so what are my general thoughts of the game at this stage? I really enjoyed it. I'm quite surprised. I didn't think it would be spectacular. I had lower expectations going into this game because of the reviews I'd read. Some people really did not get on with it. Some people really loved it. So there was a bit of a middling experience amongst people who tried this game. So I wasn't particularly sure what to expect. I went in knowing that if I didn't like it, I would sell it on and get rid of it. So maybe my expectations being tempered helped me enjoy the experience. Overall, the gameplay was welcoming. It was easy to follow, easy to play, easy to teach, and it was quite fun at bits. Now, there are issues from my initial play as well, positives and negatives, which I'm going to go over. But generally, I enjoyed the first game, and I'm going to be playing Scenario 2 and see how my opinion continues to change from there, whether positive or negative. If it stays good, I'll keep going. If I get to a point where I'm no longer interested in it, maybe I'll get rid of it. But at this stage, it's done a very good job of piquing my interest. So let's begin with the positives. Let's start with the obvious. This is a big box. There is a lot of content in it. But what they have done, the creators of this, I believe it's Prospero Hall, Funko, they have done an absolutely amazing job, homage-wise, to making this look like a Jurassic Park game. And they've made it look like those original movies. And they've got it done in such a cool kind of pulp way. Very like Indiana Jones kind of pulp action kind of movie way. It looks really interesting as well. So let's start with the booklet that you get, which gives you all of the rules. The visual look of that, it's like a comic book kind of thing. Absolutely gorgeous. And it's a very interesting way to bring Jurassic Park into the kind of comic booky kind of look. I really liked that. The board is really nice to look at. It's obviously a bit bare. There's not much on it, but that's the whole point. You're going to be playing the campaign and adding stuff to it over the course of it. So at these initial stages, it's going to look a little boring. But as you play the campaign and you add stickers and add things to it, I can imagine that it's going to change a fair bit. The cover of the box is just phenomenal. Absolutely love it. The dinosaur pieces, you only get 4 in the original first scenario. The rest are hidden as obviously unlockables in the future if you unlock them as well, which is something I'll discuss in a bit. But the 4 pieces that you get, the Velociraptors, the Tyrannosaurus, the Triceratops, and the Brachiosaurus, really nice components there. Then you've got the dinosaur cards, you've got the player boards, a whole plethora of components in this game. Absolutely gorgeous production throughout. I'm very happy with the visual look of it. So the second thing I'm going to give huge praise for is the gameplay being accessible. The actual turns and the structures and the actions are very simple and easy to follow. So this game is quite welcoming, not necessarily just for those who are active hobbyists playing all the time. It'd be welcoming to people on the street who picked it up. It's not too complex. I give it praise for that. It means it's a welcoming game. People could, pick this up and try it out. People that ordinarily wouldn't be able to play more complicated titles. And then within the game, there's interesting mechanics at play. In particular, the puzzles that you have to do for the 2 buildings. So if puzzles aren't your thing, maybe you won't like this aspect, but there is a couple of tasks that you need to do where you're manipulating a little side puzzle. But to do that, you've got to go to the actual buildings to do that. And that's the really cool thing. I really enjoyed that. I liked that aspect. I liked that when you're in the buildings as well, the dinosaurs can still follow you inside. So you're not necessarily safe. The dinosaurs will move around the board and they will hunt you. Obviously, the herbivores will be more relaxed. It's the carnivores you've got to worry about in that respect. But they will come into the buildings and chase you, which is very important because that happens in the movies, it happens in the books. It's important. And I like that. I like that they've done that. They've nailed the Jurassic Park theme. It looks like Jurassic Park. So as a homage for the IP, I'm quite impressed with what they've done. The actual production of the game generally is pretty good. So obviously the art is a very positive praise from my perspective. Generally, it's pretty nice production throughout. Obviously, I can't comment on everything else you're going to get in the later scenarios though. And the gameplay was pretty interesting. I enjoyed trying to figure out what to do, where to go, how am I going to accomplish it with the actions that I've got. So the game is engaging. I did enjoy figuring out how to solve the puzzles at hand, and I really liked that. Having a limited number of actions too means that you've got so much time to deal with everything. Whilst in this game, the other positive is the story is unfolding every turn, and the crisis, the scenario evolves as these cards are revealed at the bottom of the board, and things will happen that will cause you issues that you will have to deal with. And you're against the clock. You need to complete your objectives as soon as possible. The pace of the game is also relatively good. It's quite a quick game. It doesn't drag on forever. So you need to move on with your objectives ASAP, because this is not a game you can spend hours searching the board and exploring the map. You need to get in there, do your mission, and get out. So I like that the game can be played in a relatively fast amount of time. Some props as well for the little raptor claw first player piece. The combat is easy to understand as well. You roll the dice, and you need to have a matching defense of that type, otherwise you take the damage. The combat is going to lead us on to the negatives, so we'll go on to that now, because there's an important one I must cover. When you're in combat against a dinosaur, or a dinosaur attacks another dinosaur, you roll the dice and you deal the damage, and the damage will need to match your particular dinosaur, and they will need to have a defense roll that matches the attack damage they receive. And this is where there is a big issue with the game. For example, in the scenario that I played, in my final move, after I'd completed my final turn, so even though I had nothing else I was able to do, it was the end of the game, the dinosaurs act after you. In my session, the T-Rex marched north towards a Triceratops, attacked it, and insta-killed it because of a very lucky roll. Now, in this game, if any of the dinosaur pawns are removed from the board, you lose the game. But at this point, I'd finished the game. I couldn't do anything. There was no way for me to manipulate the dice. There was nothing I could do. So basically, the game was telling me that I'd lost the session based on one singular dice roll. And this was the second time I played it, the time I played with my family, showing them the rules. And I just thought that was very anticlimactic. It was terrible for the game to end in that way. On one singular dice roll, it took out the dinosaur, and it hadn't even been attacked before. This was a fully healthy dinosaur that got attacked and was instantly eliminated, and that resulted in me losing the game. That was just the direction the dinosaur went. It killed it, and I lost, even though I'd done all the objectives. I'd done the 2 little side quests in the buildings. I'd completed finding all the survey teams and done everything and got to the helipad. So after doing all of the objectives, getting there, the dinosaur turn after essentially loses the game for me. So something that I have no complete control over. That's a really bad sin that I must mention. So I'm not impressed with that. Other negatives include the quality of some of the tokens. So although everything in it is nice, the tokens aren't the thickest pieces, so thickest cardboard. They are a bit more flimsy and cheaper. You must expect that they're not the most solid things, so you've got to be careful. You don't want to damage them. But what's more concerning is the board itself. I don't feel like it's made out of the best material, the joints particularly. And I think this is done intentionally because it's a legacy game. They know you're going to be adding stuff, you're going to be putting stickers on the board, etc. But the material, it just doesn't feel like it's very sturdy. And especially at those joints where there's no board, it's just the actual paper itself. I'm a bit worried that they could tear through a lot of use. And I think that kind of brings it to the conclusion for the negatives, because there weren't many. I'll be honest, there weren't many on my initial play. So, let's get into my feedback. As I mentioned earlier, I like this game. I'm impressed with it. The first mission has caught me and got my attention, and I'm interested to play scenario 2 and see what I unlock, how the game evolves, and play some more. I'd like to get a few scenarios down before I make a decision. I don't feel like 2 scenarios is going to be enough, but if I start to lose interest in the game, then at that point it's probably worth getting rid of. So far, Jurassic Park Isla Nublar has got my interest. It's definitely unique. I don't have anything quite like it right now. I can't really compare or contrast it to anything. And I like the little side puzzles that you do. I think they're quite rewarding to accomplish whilst you're completing your main objectives. I like that people can drop in and drop out. So that will be an advantage if I'm ever playing a scenario and I want my family to enjoy it with me. I can just let them join. And although this officially is a 2+ player game, I don't see why you can't play it as a solo player and just have 2 characters. There's no particular reason you can't do that. So, on this initial play, I'm impressed with the gameplay. I'm impressed with the visual look. I'm generally keen to try Mission 2. And that's exactly what a legacy game should do. So it's accomplished its mission. It's got me interested and hooked in the next stage. And so I'm looking forward to that. I don't know how the game is going to evolve, how it's going to change as I play, and I'm looking forward to exploring that. Do I recommend this for everyone? At this stage, no. There are other games I would recommend to other people, especially if they're just new to the hobby or they don't play many games. I think this game is tailored towards people who are interested in legacy games, who are interested in Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. I will hope to do a review at some point once I've completed the campaign, or at the point when I decide I don't want to play it anymore. I will give appropriate feedback. I think that brings it to the end of today's video. Please leave a like, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.